Hey everybody, welcome to this exciting Illustrator CS6 tutorial. What is going on today? We're going to start learning how to actually start making stuff within Illustrator now. In the past couple tutorials, we basically learned about the user interface and how to get around the system. But now we're going to start learning how to make stuff. So we're going to start out with learning how to create rectangles and ellipses, or squares and circles. So let's go ahead and get started. Over here on your tool panel on the left, you're going to have a tool. It's probably going to be the rectangle tool, but it could be any of these tools right here. It's right above the paintbrush tool. So you always know it's right above the paintbrush because the paintbrush tool never changes. All right, if you click and hold on the icon, you bring up all these extra tools. We've got rectangle, rounded rectangle for rounded edges, ellipse tool that creates circles and ovals. The polygon tool can make polygons with different sides. If you're not sure what a polygon is, you're going to have to look up Google on that one. Star tool just makes stars, and then we got a flare tool that makes flares. So let's start out with a rectangle tool. All you got to do is select that, and your icon will turn into like a crosshairs. Click and drag, and now you got a rectangle. All right, that's cool. Well, let's do some more cool things. So I'm just going to delete it. You can hit Control Z if you want instead. It's up to you. Let's select the ellipse tool. I'll draw that out, and now I've got an oval. Now the cool thing I want to show you guys is if you hold down Shift while you're using any of those two tools, you're going to create the perfect circle or a perfect rectangle. So there's the perfect circle. Let's go to a rectangle. And now we got a perfect square. I said perfect rectangle last time. I meant square. There we go. Now you're probably wondering, how do I get my rectangle or square or circle or whatever you made to have this color in it? Well, that's cool. It's down here in your swatches, or down here in your color. So this one on the top left is called a fill, and this one on the bottom left is stroke. Fill is the inside color, stroke is the outline along the outside. So let's go ahead and select this with our selection tool there. Click on our fill. If you double click on it, you're going to get a color picker that comes up. And go ahead and select any color you want, and that'll change the color of the fill. If you click on the stroke down here and double click on that, we can change the color of the stroke. Hit OK. And then there's other options up here. When you click on them, you can increase the stroke size to get a thicker line on the edge. But we'll go over all that. We'll go over that kind of stuff later on. I'm not going to get into all the details about those. All right. So what was the other thing? Okay. Other things to talk about. We have these drawing modes down here that I want to show you. If you click on that, we're going to get draw normal, draw behind, and then we're going to get draw inside, which is grayed out, which we'll talk about later on. So drawing normal draws an object on top of any other object. And this is the default mode. So let me make another tool here, and I'll just go ahead and change the color. Now, if you're using these up here, you're going to notice there's not really anything for you to pick. You can either click on this library icon here and pick from some of these different icons. So let's go ahead and pick ice cream. It's going to give you a bunch of different swatches that you can pick from and colors. And that accidentally went to the fill. I want it to go, or to the stroke. I want it to go to the fill. Come on. Oh, it's because you got to have the fill on top down here. And then go ahead and select the color, whatever color you want. You can use this color picker up here on the top. The icon is the little artist paint board there. You can use that. All right, go ahead and draw. And you can see now that it drew on top. All right, let's go to another color drawing mode. Draw behind. Let's select that. What do you think that's going to do? I'm probably going to draw it behind. Let's see. Well, I did it in a spot that I couldn't draw behind it. All right, here we go. There you go. Now it's drawn behind. So there's a couple of tips for you. Now don't underestimate the power of simple shapes. A lot of times people are using simplistic designs and all that kind of stuff. That's all in right now. Being simple and not making things too complicated and all that jazz. So let's go over to, I'm going to go over to this and just show you a couple examples. This whole background right here, all it is just tons of circles, but it still looks really cool as a background. On this section here, instead of going all crazy, they just put a couple simple circles at the end of these designs. And they still look cool to me. So that's all it is. We've got a couple triangles here that have just been rounded. And that's all that has been happened here. And all these are just a bunch of triangles connected together. So if you think about it, this is just a bunch of different basic shapes that can make some cool things. Simplicity is a pretty nice tool nowadays that you should keep an eye on. Let's move this here. That's bugging me. I want it to stick out like that. All right. Let me check and see if there's anything else I want to go over. All right. There is one more thing that I want to go over. I'm going to select this object here, this square, and I'm going to go into my modes, and now Draw Inside is available. Draw Inside only is available when you have something selected. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to change my color so we can see better. Let me get off this and pick a new color that we can see better. All right, that's good enough. All right, I'm going to select it again, hit Draw Inside, which it was already on, and I'm going to go to one of my tools, go to my ellipse tool here, and I'm going to draw, and only draw inside the actual object. It's not outside of it at all. So that's what Draw Inside does. I can do it over here on this other circle. I'll select this circle, my selection tool, and go to draw another circle inside, and it drew it completely inside of the circle there. So that's how Draw Inside works. Now you can move these around easily with the selection tool. You just click and you start dragging it around, and you'll be able to move these around. You can also use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move things incrementally, like that. And that's pretty much it. So if you want to go ahead and mess with the different tools that we got here, that'd be my guest. And practice makes perfect, so just go ahead and practice making things. I mean, there's my flare. Obviously it looks awful with the colors, but that's what the flare does. In case you were wondering, I'm sure you're all like, draw a flare, or you weren't, who knows. Well, that's it for the tutorial. So hopefully you guys can get started on making some basic shapes, make some cool looking things. It'll be awesome. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a good one, everybody.